Hello, everyone, and welcome to another live stream here on Discovering Pandora. This one's going to be a special one. It's a roundtable review and discussion on the Avatar Remaster that's now in theaters. But obviously, I won't be alone. So, first off, here's my good friend Jay from Drinking in Pandora.
Dude, I can't. You did that perfectly. If you don't know, we've been talking for 15 minutes.
Chat, we're going to have to admit it. And I have also my good friend Avatar Guy.
I feel like I've got a real bad deja vu right now.
I have Sean from the Sivako Road to Avatar podcast.
Oh, hi, guys.
And I have
Nice
Albert from the Avatar podcast. Albert, you good? Can you hear us?
I certainly am. Greetings, clan leaders.
Hello.
All right.
How are you doing?
We're doing good. We're doing good. We thought we were live for about 15 minutes, and we weren't. And so yes, chat. We thought we were talking to you guys. So we're just gonna start again from the beginning.
Before you begin, I need to, because I'm that guy, I need to reflect some of your amazing progress back at you, Jerry, with Discovering Pandora. So
thank you, my friend.
Prepare for dagginess. So just got off of speaking with Garrett, second unit director, on The Way of Water. This is why I look a bit bedraggled, because lots of editing for an episode like that. To make sure everything's all squared away. As I was recording with him, I kept having these flashes like deep in my heart of like me, you, Bailey, everyone on this podcast who I'm looking forward to meeting, everyone at the premiere here in like just over the pond in New Zealand. So I want you all to collectively start manifesting that. And Jerry, you and Bailey especially have like zero chill. I'm going to learn more about you, everyone else's work here. You post so frequently. You're so on the ball. You're a credit to podcasting and a credit to the Avatar community. So, and I'm sure I'm going to discover it's the same for everyone here. So, yeah.
Oh, thank you so much.
Them words, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, I'm surrounded by equally as hardworking individuals and just the best Avatar content creators out there. So I am really honored to be hosting all of you on my channel. But yeah, let's get started. The initial question was, how many times have you watched the remaster and what format? Jay hasn't watched it.
I haven't. Okay, I have an excuse. There's a hurricane coming to Florida, so I had to leave.
Yep.
So I'm in another state. I don't know how good the internet is. I hope I sound okay, but I am going.
You sound great.
Actually, in about an hour and 15 minutes. I'll probably hit the road to go watch it. And people in the chat have been saying watch it in 4DX, but I'm afraid that if I get a giant slushie and sit in that 4DX chair and that thing starts swinging me around, it's going to end up on some poor little child in row 2. Especially when they take flight on the Banshee. I got to be ready. So. People are like, no excuses, Jay. Hey, man, my house could be blown away. I don't know. I could be really on the flight of passage because I live right next door to Disney World. So, you just never know.
Jay, I'm under the excuse of learning this for the first time. I'm going to give voice to those 2 comments who came in. One was all the channels I watch in one place, and like ending a time of great sorrow. And so. Obviously, Jerry, please,
Oh,
jump in as a host to be like, Albert, when people are speaking, maybe. But I was just very, very excited to see. Yeah, I mean, shouts out to everyone watching, and you're all lovely. So, but Jay, I apologize. Sorry about that.
Oh no, man! You cut me off. I like to. What you'll learn about me is, man, I'm kind of sarcastic, but I love to laugh, and nothing can bother me, bro. So if you're like, Jay, shut up, that was a terrible point. You're not going to upset my feelings whatsoever. You're not going to hurt my feelings whatsoever. So
I got you, mate. Great to meet you too.
Love is in the air. Avatar's in the air. Life is good.
There you go.
Yeah, good vibes.
Avatar guy, you've seen it 3 times, right?
Yeah, so third time so far. IMAX 3D each time. And just to Jay's point, I actually said to Jay before we started how funny it would be. Maybe not so funny, but to see one of the floating mountains actually floating past in the hurricane.
Like
the Wizard of Oz.
He's like, I don't want to see that.
Oh, just on that tangent, it is only a matter of time before we have a bit of a Spielbergian, or I guess whatever you'd call it, occurrence of. Obviously, we've had Awa jump in, intervene in that way. Of that, I sort of said it to Garrett yesterday, like white blood cells. This sort of torrential kind of cavalcade of like nature. Like fauna, but I'd be so interested in the sequels to see like what kind of natural disaster kind of stuff might happen. I know there might be an allusion to the first songs with volcano stuff, maybe in like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to jump off of Avatar Guy's tangent, AG, or I don't know, Avatar Guy. I guess that works. But yeah, nice to meet you, mate.
But I've got a question also for Jay. I want to know what his excuse for not seeing the extended edition is.
Ooh.
I can't put you on the spot there, man.
Man.
I have seen it. I just don't own it. I think that's what my issue is. Like, 'cause when I saw those pictures, I was like,
I need to defend Jay, because sometimes the theatrical cut, like, I might be sacrilege. We went even to bloody Lord of the Rings New York City premiere or whatever, and I would have told anyone, even the showrunner, I was like, I prefer the theatrical, because there's a certain cut that you were familiar with when you went to the cinema. It sort of creates that bond that you have with it, and theatrical, sometimes you'll have, and I'm not like putting a spot on you, Avatar Guy, that thing of like, oh well, the extended is the only true version, is like, sometimes the theatrical
if it's Jim's vision, it's Jim's vision, and
Oh,
I feel
good
like
point.
the extended cut is like, like totally, a theatrical cut is actually my personal favorite cut, but I like a couple of the additional scenes. Like, I really love the opening that on Earth, but that's because I'm a massive like Ghost in the Shell fan as well, and I feel like Jim took a lot of inspiration from that.
You'll have to come on the Ghost in the
Blade
Shell
Runner
podcast.
vibes too. It's really good.
Yeah, totally.
But you know what we read, or something that I read here in the States, the reason why they try to cut movies shorter, especially they really want movies at a little under 2 hours, is because they could get more viewings in the theater and generate more money. That's more of a business thought than a visionary thought.
Than an artistic one.
Than an artistic. So they're like, hey, cut these movies down so we can get more viewings per day in the theater, so we could generate more money, and then we'll release an extended cut later. I do know a lot of directors hate that, because they're like, no, this is what I was supposed to, this was my vision.
Yeah.
But because I guess you need to make money, on top of it, unfortunately, that is the business. You got to make money. And so they kind of cut it down so they can get more viewings on the big screen.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe the reason the theatrical is the length it is because that's the maximum the IMAX allowed at the time in 2009. Like, they, for some reason, IMAX couldn't play movies that were longer than that theatrical cut length. I could be wrong, but I believe that's what I heard.
I think you're right. I think that was the original reason. I think, in fact, it makes more sense than even the length, right? Because you'd think that the studio would be like, oh, this is James Cameron. He made Titanic. It's like 3 hours, over 3 hours long. Let him do what he wants.
Everything you've expressed, all three of you, very eloquently, and all of them can serve as so many launching platforms for discourse. But I just have to, because I'm Australian Italian, and I know that Sivako is in the room, and he's like my nomenclature neighbor. So Avatar podcast. So big hugs to you, and great to meet you too, mate.
Oh, pleasure to meet you. It's been way too long as well. Like, as you'll probably find out, I usually just sit here in the corner, enjoy my little.
Oh, so that's what I was witnessing there.
yeah. Because I will just jump in every so often with probably the stupidest comment possible.
No,
have a great little chat. But yeah, like, honestly, it's so nice to meet you, and I'm so pleased that you've joined us for this one, because you're a huge part of this community, and your podcast is incredible, and I cannot wait to listen to that interview you've got coming out.
Well, yours very sweet. We published it a few hours ago, but I have to once again highlight, now it's to all of you. I like to hold up these mirrors, friendship mirrors, I guess. All of you have amazing audio quality. You've conquered StreamYard. Now this is all super educational for me, so I might jump on this. I do Topic Podcast Network, so Dune podcast, Star Wars podcast, other thing. But I lead from that love of Avatar, and I think it's reflected in, we just hit 7K or whatever. I believe it is this very like AWA has heard you moment in cinema, and I would say art, like human art history. I said this to Garrett, which is that responsible blockbuster making, like blockbuster making with some sense of accountability towards current, really pressing issues. Again, Jim would be the first person to say you can access these films on a pure surface entertainment level. That's valid, but for those layers which do kind of open these windows into inquiry, into self-education about current things, like needing to, really take on those benefits of embracing, indigenous originating cultures' ideals of like living in harmony with nature, and then obviously environmental, conservation. Like that's very much like within the DNA. So on that Trojan horse level, we'll go in and we'll be like, fuck yeah, skim wings, let's go. Oh my god, like just, by the way, I'm Australian and I swear, and I'm sorry if I not allowed to swear.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good.
Okay.
It's
All
part of their English. I have
It is.
many Australian friends. Yeah.
It is. But all that's to say that we're in a really important moment, I think, of just doing a bit of course correction from a bit of maybe 5-6 years of pretty much just conveyor belt cookie cutter filmmaking. I won't name the franchises, I won't name the studio, and this is just this big 10 to 12 year production, really marinating in old school filmmaking ideals of like ready when it's ready. So you, all four of you, are part of a discourse that's really going to start ramping up. In about a year or two, you'll have YouTubers tell you like, hey, Drinking Pandora, Avatar guy, Sivako, Discovering Pandora, like you all served as inspiration for me to become an Avatar tuber. I think Avatar tuber is going to become a thing as well. So you're all, it's like I'm among a council of people who are going to help keep this really eclectic and erudite and hype, and even like hype building discourse around, like I called it, to Garrett, one of like humanity's most worthwhile art forms, because at the core of it has this entertainment value, but then you could really start getting some people want to get into ecological conservation based on what they experience with the Metcana, especially like that kind of ripple effect of entertainment acting as inspiration for like career change and mindset change. So you're just part of something more than a lot of other mostly entertainment focused, I guess, franchises or universes. So that's, again, credit to all four of you.
Well, I appreciate what you said about the cookie cutter experience, which has been the basis of cinema the past few years. Actually, it's there's no, and the thing that I appreciate that I fell in love with Avatar is, especially when these sequels are coming, Cameron was basically like, we're going to write it down in a novel, in a book, kind of like what they did with Lord of the Rings, and base the movies off that. Not just say, hey, you're a director, can you do a Thor film real quick? Just make sure you add these 10 minutes that we need so we can continue the story. But whatever else you want to do, just do whatever you want and have fun. And that's why I think we've seen these box offices where these movies come out and they spike up real high, but then there's no rewatchability. And that's just my opinion. I'm just saying, like, the people just don't go back to the cinema because either it's like it's the same old thing that they've been and I just use Thor as an example. Some people might love that movie, and that's perfectly fine. Love what you love, like what you like, and I personally didn't like Thor: Love and Thunder, but some of the others were great. But it's just it just seems like it's just the same thing being pumped out. And with Cameron taking the time to create an entire language, create an entire soundtrack, create an entire everything, like the world building that he did in this franchise seems like he took people are like 13 years in films.
Jay, the word for it is anti-algorithmic.
There you go.
The algorithm demands constant output. I'm sure all four of you as YouTubers, content creators know, but the true gems come from that marinating process, that streamlining and refining process, and he knows it. And I say, with Denis Villeneuve, we do the Dune podcast, one of his refrains is, my art is my commerce. So make the art beautiful, give it its time, and then the commerce element literally just comes as a beautiful byproduct. And not only that, you're not chasing just the short-term gains, you're creating legacy, you're creating impact, and you'll get stuff that tends to really get the attention of award places, which gives these films legacies, gives these films clout, and it's just about priorities. So Andor is also a little bit of a AWA has heard you moment. I think that Tony Gilroy was like, I'm not gonna compromise on wanting to take this out of the volume and film it like we did with Rogue One. So you'll even start to see. I mean, the level of CG especially is going to give a lot of other studios headaches, because now House of the Dragon season 2, it can't bring weak source. You know, it has to take into account some of the advances that will prove themselves to be standard setting with Avatar.
Yeah, no,
and you know they have. Yeah, no, go ahead.
I think, as to Jay's point, I actually, this is maybe not popular, but I think it's even deeper than that. Is that Jim's created something which is actually like pertinent to our times. That when you think about things like Thor, I think the first issue probably came out in the 50s, right? And to a lesser extent, things like Star Wars in the 70s. Whereas the story in Avatar very much reflects like the 21st century. And most films that come out today, they aren't based on anything that even is in this century. Most of them are just things from the last. Like, I'm a huge fan of Alan Moore, and he talks a lot about how like the current cultural landscape is almost a disaster, that we're still digging up all of these stories from like the 40s and 50s and the 60s and just retreading them. And the fact that Jim's gone out there and said, I'm going to tell a story that is for the world we live in today. It's not adapting a story for everything else. I feel like that helps it resonate with the audience like around the world.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And I think to
Beautifully said.
everybody's point right now, back to the actual remaster, I think that proves what you guys are talking about, where look at a movie from 13 years ago and how it just came out right now. Look how relevant it is. Look how good it looks. Look how he took his time with it. It wasn't something that was just pumped out. Literally, to me, watching it, I'm like, this is the best thing I've seen in years the theater. Like, bar none. Like, you know, somebody that, you know, go watch it and tell me otherwise. And that's, you know, bringing me to my point. Like, what do you guys think of like how it looks? Like, did everything work for you guys? The 4K, the HDR, the frame rates?
I'll just say a few things. First of all, I think I speak for Jay, AG, and Sivako, or however I end up calling you. That was an amazing segue to keep us, to sort of bring us back to the remaster. Very skillful podcasting, my friend. So Jerry, very much so. Like, again, the resonance of the remaster is symptomatic of a lot of these issues still not being as addressed as they could be, with, you know, environmentalism, of embracing, you know, two of those things. That's all. Like, treating ourselves better, which is will bring you more into alignment with indigenous thinking, because there was a lot of emphasis on gratitude and on being happy with what you have, and anti-consumerist stuff, and then environment, you know, prioritization. So those obviously haven't been addressed. You do hear though about like New Zealand now being, you know, and I'm quite rightly, they're about to like rename the country to Aotearoa, which is the Maori word. So you see little things, but I love that the remaster is hitting as heavy as it is, and I believe it has a fair chance of hitting 3 billion. Simply, again, not about money. It's about what is, you know, right. My fiance to Garrett was saying, or to me actually, for the remaster review, you know, nature documentaries like Planet Earth and stuff tend to be really up there on IMDb, because we all have this unconscious sense that we could be doing better, and we like to the environment and be connecting with it more. So when people go, and they go multiple times, like Avatar guy, which I love to hear, and I've got twice so far, bought tickets twice. There's a sense that, as you said, Jerry, beautifully, it's like a sense of relief of like, oh, this is a film. This is saying something. I'm not just going here for some popcorn and to just sort of in that disposable way. I guess that is the difference between something that's made so beautifully. It's not disposable, you know? Maybe you can speak to that. Jim.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said before, Jim has said, like, if you guys just want to watch it as a surface level, you know, the surface level story, that's there too. And the environmental stuff, he has said, like, it's there if you want to go for it, but he also feels like, let's just not like push a message so much, because then it takes away from the actual, you know, story of the film that you're trying to tell.
He lets you do that by yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So I love that it has those layers where, like you guys were saying, maybe a lot that we've gotten recently doesn't even have a second layer. So it's good that this one does, and I'm sure all the 4 sequels will as well. Sivako, you said you've seen it one time, right?
Yeah, so once for myself, I saw it on Saturday during the day, 3D showing, but just regular, no IMAX. But I'm planning to see it in 4DX either this week or next, depending on
Lucky.
depending on how my stomach's feeling. Because I know
There you go. Now, on that of 3D, how have you guys enjoyed watching it in 3D again? Is it, the best way to see it, or are some of you like, I can take it or leave it?
Oh, okay, good question.
I'll start with at Sivako. Yeah.
For me, I think I'm going to admit here that I think this was the only time I've seen it in 3D. I didn't see it in 3D when it originally came out. I don't think.
Oh, okay.
So, but from what I experienced at the weekend, absolutely adored it. It was the depth more than anything that it gave to the film.
Yeah, exactly.
And the amount of detail that it could bring out in objects that were so close up, further away. I loved that aspect, and I felt that it was so well integrated into the film that it almost was, you didn't notice it a lot of the time because it was so flawless. And to mention about the high frame rate, I didn't even notice it. It didn't, normally I've seen Gemini Man, and it's very noticeable in that film when the frame rate is amped up. In this, I didn't notice it a single bit. It felt smooth as anything. The action sequences looked smooth as you'd want them to be. It was easy to digest, and I think that's exactly what James Cameron wanted to achieve with it, and I think he succeeded.
Exactly.
All right,
I have to back up. Oh no, you first, Jay, please.
I gotta interrupt because it's pronounced Sivako. You guys got to get that right. All right. You don't want to know how I know that? Because when you go ride the Flight of Passage ride at Pandora at Disney's Animal Kingdom, they teach you that in the line while you're standing in line. They're all like, everybody say Sivako. It means rise to the challenge.
Yeah.
In Navi, and here everyone's saying Sivako. So all right, I just had to help my friend.
It took me out
All
of the
right,
movie.
all right. Jay had to bring out the whiteboard. All right. Okay.
When
he said you schooled me on the Tolkien or whatever. I got it, Jay. I got it. Like they say, I see you.
We're all good friends here. It's all
Sivako. Wait a second, Isn't Loak's nickname for the Tolkien JRR? Like JRR Tolkien? Sorry.
No.
It's right there.
Avatar guy, you were also talking about the 3D.
Oh yeah, that's so. I was going to say, when I was watching the movie and the bit where Sute goes Sivako, when they jump off the home tree, I was like, hey, it's Sean, and they just took me completely out of it.
I'm just one person.
No man, it was good. I felt like a wholesome goodness when I heard it. I feel like the 3D. It's like it's the way you have to see it. It's almost like watching a color film in black and white when you're watching it in 2D. It was authored for that. I'm not like the high frame rate and all the other cool jazz. I think that's really cool. But for me, the 3D, that was the bit that really added it. And I absolutely loved it. I think Sean basically said everything else that I would even say. But yeah, the 3D for me, I feel like it's essential to really seeing Avatar as it should be seen.
Exactly. It's like if you're in Pandora, there's certain shots, because I've seen it twice, and there's some very specific shots that just every time, it doesn't matter how many times I see them, but seeing those shots in 3D just blows me away. But Avatar podcast, what did you think about the 3D? Do you love 3D?
Oh, so my second session will be the 3D. The first one was 2D. Yeah. I guess I can speak to my memories of whenever I've experienced it. Because it was, I just remember the discussion at the time. There was like native 3D, so something that was shot with 3D cameras, which Avatar was. Yeah. And then the ones where the 3D was added later, and I remember Avatar having this big. So maybe for people, youngsters, whoever's listening, who maybe weren't as plugged into the Avatar stuff back then. But yes, there was a lot of pioneering going on with. One of the cameras, for example, I think the cameras on set had the the bifocal kind of he basically engineered a new kind of
yeah,
camera
like the two camera thing, the two
That's
lenses,
right.
yeah,
to sort of emulate the
human eyes, yeah.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. The shot that always hits me is when they're coming down to Pandora, and it's that shot behind the different pilots, and they're sort of moving the screens. It just always registers for me. But just everything, it adds another layer of artistry towards that's Jim every frame saying, hey, let's pull this forward, let's push that back, and it's the true experience is to do it. So that's why go a few times. Maybe if you have people who are like, don't want to wear the glasses, go 2D. Still is impactful. It's still very impactful in 2D.
Yeah.
To Albert's point, did you guys have a favorite scene in 3D? Because mine's there's even now, because I wondered if it would change. Because like you said, I really do think it's cool when they pull the screens around. But mine is the one where the Atok Arena float down, the wood sprites, and it feels like they're actually floating out of the screen. I think that for me is like I still find myself like daydreaming and even thinking about it when I haven't. That for me is one of my favorite in 3D.
Okay.
There's one for me. It's hard to describe, but if you guys see it again, like try to look out for it. It's when it turns night for the first time and Jake is there in the forest alone and he has the torch. There's this shot where it seems like the camera is down on the ground level and it's behind him, kind of looking up a little bit at him. I don't know why, but even back then when I saw it in 2009, that shot just looks incredible. Like you get so much depth with everything, like the forest, everything, but it obviously even like comes towards you and everything. But I think it's that certain angle that he did, like a lower angle like that. Yeah. And I love that it just seems like I think he kind of like saw the film and was like, all right, what kind of like cool shots worked really, really good like that? Because a lot of them throughout the film, I noticed like it's cool little angles like that they seem like just normal. Like if you're watching a 2D, it seems like nothing. But once you add his 3D element, they just pop. And even like you can already tell that a lot of the Avatar 2 scenes are kind of like that. You get those shots like if you're right there at the surface of the water. So it's hard to describe, but I just love certain angles from it. Jay,
now we have to hear
3D.
Yeah, go for it.
I have seen it.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, but that's like 13 years ago, man.
13 years ago, yeah.
It's like I don't even know what I was doing with my life back then.
Yeah,
that's great.
But yeah.
By the way, Jay, I love your energy. You're just like
brother.
I like people who are like perpetually over it a little bit, just in general with life, and I just love it because it just makes them that much more.
Bro, first of all, I'm excited to get my blue cherry slushy from the movie theater.
Yeah, boy.
Again,
that he's not gonna drop.
I'm going big, man. So it's like I gotta make sure you got to make sure you use the bathroom for these 3 hours. I don't want to miss a second. I got good reserved seats, man. I'm so excited. Just hearing you guys talk about it, I'm so excited. And well, all right. What did you? Since I didn't see the film yet, which I'll see in about an hour and a half. Yeah. What's y'all's candy a preference? See, us Americans, we go big here in America. You get the hot dog, the nachos, the popcorn.
Okay. Do you mind if I go? Because I'm a big snack person.
I don't know what kind of snacks they have in your country, so this is going to be interesting.
Get ready to learn. But before that, I'm going to use my platform to throw it quickly to my friend Sivako, just with your thing of, because I'm OCD. It's like everyone's given their thoughts about the 3D. How about you, mate?
Oh, so 3D for me, I'm not a huge fan of 3D in general, but Avatar's the one exception for me. That it just worked. Scene wise, it's an odd one. It's tough. It is tough. You know what oddly stood out for me was inside the amp suit with Quaritch.
Oh yeah.
It felt a lot more weight to it from that. And I think it was things coming through like the windshield at him, and that sort of like I almost felt the impact of that a bit more.
And you feel enclosed in there too. Like it's pretty crazy.
Okay, all right. Now back to snacks. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. So if we're talking, like ordering stuff at home, watching it on the screen, which we inevitably will on Disney Plus in like March 2023 or something, that's a whole other conversation, because I like to like put cool feasts together, go for a giant hike beforehand so I can earn it. Yeah. There's that whole protocol. But actually, surprisingly, just at the cinema, it's all about M&Ms and like popcorn
yes.
Oh
and
no,
I
we
love-
thought we were gonna learn some new stuff.
I know.
no, they don't have too much.
Peanut or regular?
Got to go peanut, and you got to go.
Yeah, you gotta go peanut.
Yeah, giant frozen. For me, the frozen like raspberry cola or whatever that is. It's like
Yeah.
You know, I'll probably do blue coloring, I guess, to be on theme. You know. Meanwhile, all the like health nuts are like, this is, you know, what's going on. But yeah, you gotta cut loose sometimes, and it's vegan, so take that. Too easy. Okay.
But let's see. For me, it's cinnamon pretzel, chocolate covered raisins, and a slushie.
Oh,
Like those are the three.
Nice.
It has to be those.
that's Americans, boy. Three or four items.
It's chocolate covered raisin. You're like, it's kind of healthy, right? So there we go.
Avatar guy, you probably don't even eat snacks in the theater, do you?
He's so immersed in the movie. He can't. He can't be. No, he can't.
The only time I eat is when Jake takes a bite out of that purple thing, and I just take a plum in with me. No, I'm kidding. No, I have the desire to say for me, it's corn, but that's just because I've been watching too many TikTok videos. I think I really like. I don't actually like eating, but I like the huge like sodas that they have beforehand, or the huge slushies. Like getting the biggest one of them that I can, and then mixing all the flavors together. Like that. That's I think that's it for me. Yeah, for sure.
Just creating your own. I like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How about you, Sivako?
It changes like time to time. This is the thing. When I was like, it was about like 3-4 years ago when I was at university. I would go cinema like 3-4 times a week, and I could not keep buying snacks and like drinks to be like, oh well, I'm only going. It's only because it's a special occasion because I'm going to cinema. No, I'm going to cinema more than I do anything else, and I'd like put on so much weight because basically in the UK, all the bags you buy from the cinema are like share bags for like a pair of people or 3 people. And I'd be eating like a whole bag and then to myself. My guilty one is that they do like jelly snakes.
Oh mate!
So
we just became friends. Oh man,
So
this
good.
is
So
natural
good.
Say
confection
jelly
company.
snakes?
Is that
Jelly
like
snakes.
gummy, like the gummy snakes?
Yeah, gummy
jelly
worms.
snakes.
Oh, gummy worms.
No, hey, you guys have it wrong.
Jelly
Us Aussies and us
snakes.
UK, they're called snakes. Like they're lollies, actually. You guys don't use the word lollies.
Oh yeah, we
Oh.
don't.
Yeah, no. Wow, we learned something here.
And you guys are outnumbered here, so frankly.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll have to submit.
Okay.
What did you guys think about that little added extension? The little added scene with Parker Selfridge, Avatar guy.
Okay, I'm gonna do ready. So it's
Okay.
essentially, it's like a couple words, which is like this is
Yeah.
It ain't over. I'm a big Mega 64 person, and I just thought of Timbo. It ain't over. I can't believe it's over. So, but that's for only the Mega 60, like the
Pretty
3
much,
Mega 64 people. But it was effective, and if it was filmed afterwards, then oh my god, like they did some great work on like maybe doing a bit of de-aging, I guess, with Giovanni Ribisi. Maybe it was an actual, alternate take from back in 2008 or whenever they were filming.
Yeah.
I reckon
very
it was.
effective.
Yeah, I reckon it was an alternate take.
Yeah,
of him.
it looked too seamless. I was like, this had to
Yeah.
have been a take that they didn't use
But
because
did you guys
Yeah.
notice? I think they re-rendered Jake and Neytiri for it because they looked
Yeah.
kind of like less glossy.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like you could tell
Okay.
like they kind of they try to make them as faithful as they could because obviously the ones now that they can make look incredible and those do too. But yeah, you could tell a little bit that those kind of were like new renders that they did. Yeah.
No,
Uh,
but I loved it.
Sivako, what do you? Let's see, because in like my thoughts of it, it was like now it connected it like obviously it was for like back then he didn't think maybe he was gonna have sequels, so it's kind of like you don't want to end on some kind of cliffhanger if you're not gonna have sequels or he didn't even plan them at the time, so you kind of just want to actually give it a just a proper ending. But my thing now is like I really love it now that I thought about it because it'll infect Jake's mind, and it'll be why, like in the High Ground comics we're gonna read upcoming, he was always like, I knew they were coming back, and I knew that we had to prepare, and I had to have a plan. Because obviously everybody can say, yeah, we just we could assume that they were gonna come back, but just that little line, it could seem insignificant, but to me, I'm like, that would like fester in his mind for like 13 years or 12
Mm,
years, however long, like
good
knowing
point.
that they are going to come back. It could seem throwaway, but I was like, actually that was pretty genius, because I know first when we heard about it, we're like, oh, maybe it's extending the gathering of the clan scene, and maybe we're going to see the Met Gaina and
Mm,
stuff like that, or the RDA teasing their return, but maybe like just the
very
RDA
ominous.
with themselves kind of talking. But I'm like, no, this was perfect because it was the RDA teasing their return, but it was to Jake. So like that, like I said, it was like it's gonna bother him. He can't really like fully enjoy peace and all this, because he knows he's got a time limit on when he knows that they're gonna return. So I thought it was like kind of perfect.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for when I was and it's such a small scene, obviously, like it's very small, but I think we were all searching for what that added scene would be, and we know Giovanni comes back, which is always going to be interesting. He's the one person, I was saying this in my review to my fiance, that had some kind of process of awakening, of empathy, at least a little. When
Mm-hmm.
he's like, you have 1 hour, instead of doubling down. Sure, he talked to Smack about like they're just goddamn trees, all that stuff, but eventually he did give them that hour. So it made me think out of nowhere of Giovanni, like, was that a threat, or was that like a heads up, like they won't stop? Like, you can read it a bit both ways.
Exactly. Yeah,
You know,
exactly. Because somebody commented and they're like, see, this doesn't fit because, like, exactly like you were saying, it just didn't fit his character. It would, I don't think he would do that. And
Mhm.
I responded with, I don't think it was more like a threat coming from him. It was more like you said, kind of like, just so you know, because he didn't really like,
Yeah,
he didn't shout it or anything. He just
yeah,
said, hey, this isn't over, right? Like, it's
yeah,
kind of just like, that we're gonna come back regardless,
like
because
a neutral statement. Yeah,
when they come back, he's not even in charge. Now they're actually coming with a military
leading.
commander that's in charge,
Mm,
but he's still coming with, obviously. But so I think
mhm.
that it was more him doing it on behalf of the RDA. Hey, I'll just have to let him know. Hey, we're gonna come back.
I would love to see for Giovanni, once again, I love, you know, multi um, um, multi-stage arcs for characters, and there's been some allusion, especially from one of our guests, Tiffany Red Green, on her speculation of Quaritch's arc, that he will go from maybe a bit of a redemption arc where he, simply by being in the body of one of the creatures that he so vilified and hated, like that will change for him. But with Rubizi, I would love to know that he almost comes back, not to, like in a sort of stealth way, where outwardly he's coming to be the corpo guy, but I could easily imagine a scene, maybe the start of Act 3 or something, or end of Act 2, where he sends out a message somehow to Jake, and talks about, like, once again, I joined this whole operation because I knew that they were coming back with a vengeance. They probably had a big kind of fighting terror with terror narrative that Quaritch talked about, and I've actually come not to double down on strip mining, whatever. I wanted to do whatever I could from within to maybe defang them a little bit, to give you guys more time to do that, sort of be a friend on the inside. And yeah, like, that would be interesting to see.
I think I'll take that bet. I think that he won't, because I don't know. I think he's going to be like Burke in Aliens, right? Where I get this feeling that Jim hates the corporation more than he hates the military, and I feel like he's going to just come back like sniveling almost and wanting
Ooh.
like petty revenge. At least I definitely get that feeling. At least maybe from the addition. Like, I can't see why he would add that little scene of Selfridge otherwise, And
Okay.
I don't know. I just get massive Burke vibes from him. That's kind of why I think I'm with. I think we might see a Quaritch redemption, but I'll I'm gonna
Nice.
put my flag down
Okay.
now, and we can split.
Write that down. Write that down.
I disagree. I think he's going to start down the road of redemption, and only if Spider is his son. From what some of the silly rumors are that are out there, and he sees that Spider will choose Jake over him as a father, will drive him crazy, make him hate him even more.
That's very intriguing.
So
yeah,
I think he could be pulled back to where, maybe these guys aren't so bad. He's like, but son, I love you. And he's like, well, you left me here. Like, what's wrong? Like, I choose Jake over you. And then just fuel like the inner anger. If that's true, if it's not his son and that's just a silly rumor that's been out there, then I agree. Then I think he will have a redemption arc. But I think if it's his son, I think that could be split into two.
I have to just highlight something to all of you, and it comes from love. There's a bit of humor in it, but so Jim is about conservation. Like, it's very clear from his ethos, vegan lifestyle and Cameron family farms and all that, and certainly with his films, that this comes from love. To anyone maybe from the production tuning in, he has been so diligent in bringing back everyone. I mean, it's basically resource conscious, like almost like recycling, like, but in a way that serves the story beautifully. So bringing Giovanni Ribisi back, bringing Quaritch back, then obviously Sigourney Weaver, Kiri. I just had I don't know if The Onion or something would do something to kind of poke fun at that, to be like Avatar. Jim Cameron reveals that he's bringing back everyone who died in the first film in somehow, because we know about the recom stuff, and sort of the fake interview snippet would be like, what, when we were having that final Banshees versus Samsons, I just thought about like how we could bring back each and every one. So I did the narrative work to see how maybe these people fell on a certain fern or a certain, like, that they all survived. Would be really interesting. But humor aside, this notion of the complex interrelationships between the Na'vi and the humans, and like, it's not, I don't think that's going to be diminished at all. I think especially with Jermaine Clement and Michelle Yeoh, that's going to be very interesting to see where loyalties are drawn when it comes to the crunch. And now I can't get that Spider Selfridge theory out of my mind. It's pretty interesting.
I think we've only tapped into 10% of AWA and what powers that holds. So we could learn so much in the next few films, where it's like,
for sure.
Like, he could go into a reincarnation thing. It could go into so many, with the power of, I mean, they could be like teleportation stuff with essence and things like that, or who knows? Like, I'm just throwing stuff out there, but it could go into a place where we're like, whoa, I didn't see that one coming. So, that's the beauty of Cameron.
I like that he did reaffirm that there are going to be real stakes. So even though some are coming back right now just for the immediate sequel, The Way of Water, he said even in this first sequel, there's already going to be casualties even in this first one.
Of course.
So there are going to be real stakes. So we can't. That way we're not just going to keep like reviving everybody that keeps dying, because at that point that just that's no good either.
And you turn into Star Wars at that point.
But what I quite like, what I quite like, and I don't think I emphasized this enough. What I quite like with the continuation from film one, and Stephen Lang, he said, like, this was a big shock for me because I thought my character was done for. I think there's a beautiful undercurrent there of following through, which again, we live in a eroding attention spans. People are reading only headlines, like this disposable kind of sense of like leaving things in the past and constantly just going for the new thing, and that really has the risk of diluting, and it really has the risk of seeming very scattered. So I love that like he saw the ingredients in the first film to bring all of these characters forward in an organic way that again, it sort of parallels life. I'm big into the interactive art form, and one thing with when you're playing like games and stuff, like you like you're just the same character all the way through. There's this unbroken journey, you know, and same with like TV as well. And a lot of, you know, Edie Falco, huge heavy hitter from Sopranos, coming in, and I know that she's going to be going through, you know, I think the rest of the films, Una as well, which we haven't talked about. She's openly saying like, yeah, stoked about, you know, she's wonderful with her conservation. I think definitely an upcoming guest with wanting to signal boost her causes there. But Varang, I mean, that's she's so intriguing as a possibility. But anyway, yeah, like I like that there's going to be a process of settling into and getting to really know these characters. So by the time maybe film 4 or 5, you're so invested because you've been following them for the past couple of films, you know.
And now that we've talked so much of Avatar 2, let's dive into those 3 scenes that
so good. The Kinder Surprise, you know, which one are you gonna get? Like,
yeah, right, the blind box of theaters.
Oh, really? So it's different in each theater.
Oh yeah. So there's 3 as of now. I don't know if they'll release more, but as of now, there's 3 possible ones, and it's the Soli kids and the Metcaina kids swimming in the ocean, and they go underwater, and you see a lot of that cinematography and everything. And then the second one is a scene with Tonawari and Renao. It's the one also from D23 where they're scolding Loak and Soraya over Loak bonding with the Tolkun. And then the third one, which I was like really hoping I got, and I finally did on my second viewing, was of Loak with Payakan the Tolkun. That one knocked me back. Like, I mean, I've seen 2, because I believe the Tonawari one is really rare. I don't know where that
it is. It's the rarest one.
I don't know if anybody in the U.S. has gotten that one.
Who recorded it on their phone? Who recorded it on their phone when they were watching? Be honest. Like, no.
I mean, Jerry, you've been doing a great work at you know, with your breakdown videos. Have you broken down all 3?
Yes. Okay, and I actually, and because a lot of people, the one that people didn't understand the most, even especially first coming out of D23, and even now in other showings, and even right now, they're like, I don't really know what's going on in the scene with Tonawari, but you know, he looks amazing, his performance is amazing, but it's very connected to the Loak and the Tolkun, because I did a video explaining it. He's scolding Soraya for allowing, because everybody thought, oh, he's scolding Soraya because she's getting with Loak, like they're in a relationship, but it's completely something separate. It's explaining, why did you allow him to bond with that certain Tolkun called Payakan? Because he's an outcast. He's considered an outcast because he tells the story back since the first songs. The Tolkuns used to fight each other, used to kill for territory or whatever, for revenge. And eventually they just figured, you know what, killing only leads to more killing, so no more killing. And apparently, according to Tonawari, Payakan has killed, and so he's considered an outcast. So that's why he's scolding both of those kids, because Loak bonded with him. And Loak's just like, you don't understand, sir. Like, he saved my life. You know, you don't know him like I know him. And then, you know, Jake just like grabs his arm. He's like, I'll deal with this one. And then just takes him away. And but I love Tonawari's performance. But yeah, those 2 scenes. But I loved seeing the Loak and the Tolkun scene, because you see their interaction for the first time. Yeah. What did you guys think about all the scenes?
All right. Well, I mean, I felt like jumping in, but I again have to do my thing and throw it to Sivako.
Yeah.
All right. So the scene I got the Loak Tolkien scene.
Oh,
beautiful.
So I this is just more general, but I think maybe I was wondering if it's like the 2D showings in America are the ones getting the rare scene, basically, because it's the one that's been viewed the less by people. Because obviously,
oh my god, you're right.
Because literally, like, all the 3D showings are like 93% of the screenings that everyone see was in 3D. So that means like only 7% of Americans saw that the 2D
version. Wow, you just cracked the code, dude. You just blew my mind right
I'm
now.
on it. Big brain.
Now I have to see it in 2D.
There you go. That's it. You got to complete the set. So outside of that, I think the scene is fantastic. The jump up in quality is so crazy, but also because I was watching the remastered, and I was like, no, this looks fantastic. It still looks incredible. I was like, oh, surely it can't be that much of a jump. Huge jump.
Oh,
I don't
exactly.
know how, but my brain is processing it and looking at the water, and it's like, so none of that's real.
None of it.
I'm looking at this. None of it's real. It looks as realistic as water is ever going to look. Sure,
like more real than real water.
Somehow, yeah. And it's a
Ugh.
really lovely scene because it's so it communicates so well, because obviously that, you know, it's a boy and his whale basically,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
it's so clever that they communicate in that way, and it conveys that to the audience that they can communicate without it being like, here's the whales talking. This is what the whale said.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, there's a shot from that one of just the Tulkun from the front, you know, Payakan, the beautiful horns. Like this, like as a kid, can you imagine? Like, I mean, kids in a kid's child at heart, whatever. It's a freaking humpback whale with 4 arms and horns. It's fucking cool, man. It's good, good stuff. And I love the idea of saving of him saving Loak's life, and probably an altercation with the sea dragon. What do you reckon, Jerry? Pretty, you know.
My
pretty
two
likely.
guesses were, it's either he saved him from, because we saw a concept art of Loak on an elu, like during a thunderstorm at sea. So my thing is either he saved him from that thunderstorm, or with an altercation with the RDA, one of those, you know, their water vehicles, maybe like one of those whaling ships. Because he does have the harpoon, and I saw this in Avatar Guy's video too, because I did notice it. They pointed out as well that it's rusted. So has he had that for a long time, or was just the harpoon? The harpoon was old, and that was old. You know, when it got shot to him, that was old. So it made me think of like, were there humans here? Like, did he get shot like when the RDA was here, like, you know, 12 years ago? Or recently the RDA just used harpoons that were just sitting around for 13 years? So
I'll say one more thing, then I want to throw it to Avatar Guy, is not three, there's probably way more, but when I knew that was a scene, it felt honestly like mythical, because obviously we know that one of the titles being thrown around for one of the sequels is the Tulkun Rider, and the idea of that Bond going on to potentially have a Turok-esque kind of, or even who knows, more powerful, whatever that'll end up being. But that moment between Loak and Payakan is just no wonder it's one of the scenes that people enjoyed the most. But please go ahead, Avatar Guy.
I was just gonna say, I mean, it feels, I don't know if you've ever watched Lost, but it felt like a bit like Lost when I saw the harpoon, and I was like, oh my god, look at that! I wonder how that got there. And then the other one was, and this was one of the shots, was the shot from the perspective of the Tulkun, because there's nothing like that, is there, in the original? And it even changes the color, like it shows the orange like lens of its eye. I thought that was really cool and really unexpected, actually. That kind of took me back. That was weirdly my favorite part of it.
And I think it's to highlight that, like they've said, that these are really going to be sentient species. Yeah. And that the Metkaina consider them, it was either like cousins or brothers. I think it was cousins. So yeah, I'm like, that was a great shot now, because now you're like, okay, this is like a real thinking, you know, like he's on the same level as Loak, understanding what's going on and everything. What about the scene with the kids jumping in the water and exploring? We kind of saw a few shots of it in the teaser, but obviously those very quick shots in the teaser, 1 second, 2 seconds, they don't do it justice.
Oh, I'm so excited.
No. Yeah.
Jay, you're in for a treat, brother. Please don't leave the theater. Don't leave the theater. And that's to say, now I wish they would advertise this more. I saw
no, word of mouth. Jerry, trust him. He wants.
No, yes, but I feel bad for those early people that went to go see and they weren't aware and they left. And so I feel bad for them because they didn't know. The people have mentioned it,
once
and I was
again,
thinking,
Jerry, once
what?
again, you'll have that moment where I think they were giving specific instruction. Don't tell them. And also probably it's like they may have an instruction of like, here's 3 reels, play this on this night or alternate. But the idea is, okay, all right, so you guys know about Marvel films and staying to the end credits. Okay, so you missed out on this, but hey, feel free to come back, and that's another admission, potentially. But I just think it speaks to just that little nudge to be like, yeah, read up on this stuff. Like Avatars has re-entered the foray, has re-entered the discussion, and I think that'll prompt people to want to jump back in and check to see which scene they get, and I think that Jerry, I understand it's probably very tempting, like, hey, make sure to stay, like that's one of the reasons to watch. But I love 90s style word of mouth, which is like, oh damn, okay, well let's go back and da 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 da,
And
So,
on that note, fellas, I have to leave because I'm getting ready to go see the film.
Okay, buddy.
I will
Enjoy.
let you know what scene. It was a pleasure to meet you, sir.
Yeah,
let us
and the
know
rest of
what
the
you
family.
think, Jay. Let us know in the group chat.
I want to know, man. I want to see that video up very soon.
It'll be
And
all right.
enjoy it, man. And
Yeah.
have a great time, brother.
Nothing but
See you,
love,
man.
guys. Thanks for the invite. As always, Discovering Pandora. Let's get this man to 1,000 subscribers. There's
Let's
no
do it.
reason
Let's
why
go.
he doesn't have 1,000 subscribers.
It's crazy, man. If you're watching and not subscribed, subscribe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please do.
Do that. All right. I love y'all.
Thank you
Sivako.
for stopping by.
Sivako.
Catch you later.
Excellent. No, that's wonderful. And then so all 3 scenes, just obviously I saw that I got the Sully Kids one as well.
Yeah, that's
which
the
was
other
just
one I've
very
seen.
transportive, and I talked about in previous episodes of the show that we're due for a holiday, if you think about it. Like the Metcalfe scenes, I can honestly see them. I can see like the papers that will be written on. There were people who said like had withdrawals where they, or whatever that syndrome was, Pandora syndrome, where they wanted
The Pandoran
to go back to
Blues.
Pandoran Blues. I think there's going to be a specific subset of that, or like equally right beside that, which is that desire to go and fully relax at like this beautiful beachside Metcalfe kind of culture and environment. I think people are going to fall a lot in love with Metcalfe. I love how Trinity was like, look, Bailey, like they got your dimples, and then when she
Yeah, they
smiled,
really did. Yeah, when she smiles underwater, I was like, oh, that's
very cool.
That's her exact smile.
Mhm. Oh, it's so
But you're right.
wholesome.
But I feel with this one even more so than the last one. If you fall in love with the ocean, it's like we have beautiful oceans, beautiful reefs you can go visit. So at least this one is a little more attainable to go see something beautiful. Maybe
Yes.
I'm sure it's gonna inspire a lot more like scuba divers and all that. So that's gonna be great. Or activists, for all those ocean conservationist groups out there. But yeah, like you were saying, it's gonna be, or this movie, all those scenes are gonna be like a vacation from the past 2 years that we've had. Very rough. I feel
Yes.
like this is the perfect time for a movie like this, or this movie,
Mhm.
and I'm actually glad that it didn't come out in all those previous,
Yes, that's right.
release dates. Because I'll be honest, if we look back, if it had come out, what was the first one, like 2014, I think,
Yeah.
it wouldn't blow up like this. As much as we want to think so, you're talking about the MCU in its heyday.
Mhm.
Even if this would have been the better movie, or visually the better movie, I think people were there was just so much MCU hype at the time that it just would have been a disservice to bring it out then. Now it's kind of like the MCU has kind of dwindled a bit. Star Wars itself also was hot for those years, but that by the end you see now that's living mostly on your streaming services now.
It is
There's no
Avatar's
movie
time.
maybe until like 2025, which it should have been next year, it was going to be Avatar Star Wars. But anyways, so I think it's all these elements are going to really help it this time. It's going to be that visual escape of going to being transported again. in something new. The remaster is amazing, but most people have seen it. But this one's going to be a brand new escape, and I think it's the perfect time for it.
An escape back to ourselves. That's the best kind of escape. You know, it's like you take this beautiful route of like going to what you think is this purely imaginative space. But yeah, there's going to be people coming off of this saying, okay, let's go free diving. I've always wanted to go scuba diving. Then that will ripple out and have them become a bit more updated about current initiatives that devoted to like cleaning up the oceans and stuff. That's going to be wonderful. But with that ending scene particularly, just to support what you're saying, Jerry, is I like the thesis statement I feel for this film, and for this, Avatar coming back when it is like post-war, or even though the war is still pretty much raging over there with Russia and Ukraine and stuff. Hopefully by December, maybe there's a calling of pieces like, okay, let's stop fighting. Let's just watch, Way of Water. And that's idealistic. I know. But definitely post-pandemic, and post like that whole period of 2016, 2017, 2018, which was pretty intense, some certain world leadership stuff. So there genuinely is going to be a feeling of, and it was actually communicated in the trailer of just this beauty, like the whole teaser trailer is almost like the rhythm of an ocean, like sure, tide comes in, tide comes out, very, very peaceful, very healing. So there's going to be a lot of, water itself has connotations of healing. And so we're all just about to immerse into those waters of healing, I think,
Yeah, exactly. And on these, let's jump to that box office. So how it didn't open as big as Avatar guy was hoping. So, but I mean, come on, it still debuted, over the weekend as the biggest global launch of the weekend. Beating Don't Worry Darling. I guess they had something to worry about.
Hey, nicely done.
So what do you guys think of the box office? Sivako, let's start with you. Like, are these numbers great for you, or what do you think?
Sorry, before Sivako speaks, and I don't want to interrupt you. I have to, Jerry, now that Jay is gone, you went back, you're like, almost as like, take that, Jay. You went back to Sivako. His pronunciation.
No, I just learned from him.
Now that the Sivako police isn't here anymore. Sivako, yeah, go for it.
Awesome. I think the box office is so interesting. I was talking to someone on Twitter about this today, in that someone was saying that it's maybe not that much of a story that Avatar is the biggest film ever happened to also get the biggest re-release, or like have a very successful re-release. But what I thought was really interesting domestically for it in the US was that it opened in half the screens that Don't Worry Darling did.
Exactly.
That's crazy to me. And that 93% of the showings that people went to were in 3D. Like, that's crazy that many people took the initiative to go and see it in 3D. And I know it's because they probably only really put it in 2D in a lot less theaters. But the fact that so many people took that opportunity to see it in 3D, the way that people were being told to see it, and yeah, it seems like people really like grown to love it. And I know that worldwide it's proved really successful. I know that I think France goes wild for Avatar. There's some sort of connection there, but the French absolutely adore that film.
Because the French have got great taste in cinema.
Exactly.
It's in their DNA.
Mm-hmm. I want to just speak to what we're going to see, and I think we're all going to go high where many people. I gave an interview when I was a mod for the Avatar Reddit. I think Know Your Meme reached out, and I just had to kind of highlight stuff if you do a Google. But what I told them is what I'll say now, which is after many years of people kind of I guess there was a collective amnesia that happened, and a collective pride that people would be proud at how little they know. It's like, who's the protagonist's name, and this movie that we all just had this fascination with. And I just can't wait to see all those narratives dissipate, because good storytelling is good storytelling, beautiful entertainment and worthwhile entertainment is what it is, and those narratives will just naturally dissipate and dilute away. And I can't wait to see some of these people who are like, who cares about Avatar? Like, just to see that it is about spectacle, and it is about going and seeing the filmmaking medium evolve. Like James Cameron films are like almost like expos, showcases of where cinema's going. So that's what the intrigue that they have inherently as well. And that's a huge part of what I think is informing the popularity of the remaster, because there's a sense of that hunger of why we started going to movies. We didn't go to movies just to experience the same kind of, again, roach, and conveyor belt experience. Deep in the heart of the desire to go to the cinema is to see what's next. And Avatar has always had that feeling of what's next. And I think people are the remaster's performance is symptomatic of people getting genuinely ready. Like, naysayers be damned and algorithms be damned, whatever. It's going to create its own. It's really actually going to forge its own way and lead to its own, go on its own path. And we are in an era of like stultifying insecurity about like, where do I go? And Ray was telling me how Netflix sometimes they algorithm design premises, like we need this many people of this much representation, whatever, or of this demographics, excuse me. But with this, there is, as has been highlighted on this show, a story that's been written with certain themes, an emphasis with Cameronian, I'll call it, which we saw in Aliens. Again, he has that small little footnote of, but pretty major, of him having the strongest track record of sequel making ever in cinema. Like, that's a fact as well. We're going to see, this new conceptualization of what's possible with a saga where it just won't feel Wile E. Coyote like some of that Doctor Strange animation stuff. It feels very rubbery and cartoony. With this, everything has a weight to it, and so that's a big word salad, but I just wanted to express that about
it feels like people forgot that you can actually have like a real experience at the movies. Like, that's what, that's why you fell in love with the movies and the movie theaters, and it combines for something that you can't really have at home. And of course, you can, people can now build home theaters and all that, but like I haven't seen one negative thought from anybody that has seen this remaster, like actually seen it, not just typing on Twitter, nobody cares. Like, anybody that has seen it has come out like, they even changing their tune. Like, why was I hating on this for like a decade?
The jadedness is melting away
because you saw it in the way it was presented. It wasn't just seeing it, because there's also something where I believe in your home and 2D, it does it a disservice. Is it still great in that? Yeah, it's still great and it holds up.
It is,
but it's meant to be experienced in this particular way. Like, this is what James Cameron and anybody that actually sees like that actual way that he wanted you to see it, I haven't heard a negative thing about it. And I think people are just being reminded, like, we're not just here to watch like episodes of a movie or even filler movies. We're here to watch, like, to have true experiences.
Oh yeah.
But
like
Avatar guys, what do you think about the box office?
I'm still optimistic. You're right. It didn't open as highly as I thought it would, but I still thought it was going to be number one. I was proud that I hit that. I think I think everyone's already said what needs to be said. That it's that resonance, and I think Albert made the point. I think he made it on one of his episodes about basically, like times where we've been through this huge like time of sorrow with things like COVID, right? And that there's this real deep innate desire for everyone that to escape and to feel something that's positive again. And I feel like that's manifesting itself in the box office. That people are showing that.
And to your credit, I will tell you, I did think though that it was gonna open, at least in the US, in like 4,000 theaters, like, or 3,000.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? It's so, I mean, I get why they did it, but it's
so
weird.
That number did surprise me. Where I'm like, wait, it was only in 1,800. I don't know. Maybe I like misread somewhere in the past. I guess I just assumed that it would be a really wide release. So looking at that, it's like less than half of what these other two movies in front of it had, to even be in that ballpark, that is amazing. And and 3D tickets aside, that average out like 15 compared to the other ones 11. that still doesn't, the math still doesn't add up as that you're literally right there. You're still sitting at the same table. That's super impressive. And he still beat him at the end of the day worldwide. So that's amazing.
And by all indications, this Avatar season, as Jim has called it, that it starts now, and I believe that there's going to be extra little tidbits released here and there, maybe little social media stuff of clips. That's all sort of. There's a wonderful sense of things really starting to, barreling on either Tulkun back or Toruk back. Like we're just making our way to December. But look, folks, I give you guys a giant hug. So great to meet you. I have to dash off to the rest of the day. It's been a true pleasure speaking with all of you, and each of you. So yourself, Avatar guys, Sivako, Jerry will get you back, and Jay, each of you will have one-on-ones on the Avatar podcast. So to just really like have that nice back and forth kind of exchange. But keep doing what you're doing, being who you are. You're such worthwhile voices in this space, and it's only going to get more exciting and multifaceted and I would say thrilling as well, from here with all of your endeavors. So to everyone watching, listening, this is me like really leveling with you. Subscribe, support all of these people on this show. Like I said, among the most worthwhile, I would say highest quality commentators in a sphere of entertainment or any topic really. So lots of love all around. Big hugs.
Oh, thank you, man.
Thanks,
right back
man.
at you.
Pleasure
Thank
to
you
meet
for coming on. It's an honor to have you on here, man. So thank you so much for giving us some of your time.
No worries. Take it easy, guys. Be well. Oh, bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
I was going to say, I think I'm probably going to have to drop soon as well. So maybe.
Oh yeah, don't worry. I was gonna wrap it up right now. Just I was gonna get finished with any final thoughts at all on the remaster as a whole, or your excitement for heading towards Avatar 2. Anything? Any final thoughts?
You can go, Sean, first.
Final thoughts. I'm gonna see it in 4DX, and I'll see if 4DX is worth giving a go.
Oh man, you'll have to really describe that. I'm so jealous.
Man. Do it.
I can. This is it. I broke my back a few years ago, so I'm really curious to see how it holds out. If I start getting thrown from my seat.
Oh man, you're taking a risk there. Especially when they have the Ikran right in.
This is I've done 4DX once before. I did it for the first Harry Potter, which they re-released a couple years back. And the 4DX for that was mental because of the broom ride scene.
Oh yeah.
And it jolted you around quite vigorously. So I am, you know what? I'm hoping maybe Jim worked on the 4DX himself. He was like, no, that's too violent. I want a smooth ride.
Yeah. We need everybody to enjoy this. Yeah.
It's comfort. Yeah, for sure. I think my thought would be, it's good to see the positive reaction. Not unexpected, but really good to see it. And it's kind of, I think for the we've all loved this film for a long time, and I know that it has kind of fallen by the wayside in the culture, and it's just kind of nice that it's to see it reignited and see it actually resonating with everyone again. And Jim had that thing, didn't he, where he was talking about he wasn't sure whether with the TikTok generation it would still resonate on the same level. And I feel like this is a really good indicator that Avatar 2 can be the success that I think we all think it will be and all hope it will be. So that's kind of my thought for it as well. I also think that I want to just echo what Jay said earlier. I think Discovering Pandora is well deserving of way more subscribers, and Sivako too. Actually, I know that I think the majority of your audience probably aren't on YouTube, but I definitely think that everyone should subscribe to them and check them out, because I think your content is you guys make me strive to make better content, and I'm really thankful for that. I appreciate your being there and making content, because it always makes me want to do better to try and reach your guys' level. So yeah, I guess that's what I want to say.
We're throwing down the gauntlet to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much. But no, I appreciate everything that I have. I'm just grateful for what I do have, and if any more come, then I'm happy for that as well. But it's just been a blast making all this content. So and talking to you guys. But my final thoughts on the remaster as a whole is just I'm just grateful that it's back, and like you said, like I've just heard from anybody that has actually seen it. It's just positive, and it's great to finally have that join the discourse online after so many years that we have seen like the outsiders, like it's not really good, but now it's people are really seeing like this is an experience, and then just we don't even have to wait years. I'm so excited that just in a couple months, the whole world's gonna get super wide. It's gonna be on every screen possible. No more 1800. It's gonna really be something, man. Especially with this age we're in with social media, the word of mouth of this, the way of water, man. It's no pun intended. It's gonna make
Avatar the word of mouth. I gotta say, I gotta do a shout out. It's not just a couple of months, guys. It's 81 days until Avatar 2. I gotta give a shout out to Calzone. It's crazy. We're in double digits. It's exciting.
It's pretty crazy, man, and it's gonna fly by. Right now it seems like forever, but you know what, it seemed like this remaster itself was a long way away just a few months ago. So I just want to say thank you for you guys spending the time to come on here and chat, and I love these are my favorite, and thank you to everybody that joined us in the chat here and watched us live. Thank you so much. Sure. I really appreciate it. And please subscribe to all these guys. I have all their links down in the description. So please do it. Support all of us. And thank you to everybody who showed up. And that's pretty much it.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you.